Hello everyone, this is Ben with ERP Connect Consulting, and in this video we're going to walk you through how to use our advanced accounting extension inside of Business Central. So the first thing you'll want to do after downloading this app off of AppSource is come up to the search and type in AAC. That's going to be our shortcut for everything advanced accounting related. So the first thing you'll want to do is come up here to the setup and make sure you go ahead and generate that demo key. Like with all of our other extensions, you'll always want to make sure to generate that demo key to get your free 30-day trial, after which you can reach out to us at any time to get either a 1, 2, or 3-year license, depending on your preference, at which time you can enter the activation key here, and that will pop up down here with a new expiration date and a key right here that you will see populated. So once that's good to go, you're ready to start using this application. We're going to scroll back up to the top just to go through some of the setup options. So one of the main features, and probably the most popular feature within advanced accounting, is the ability to send out some auto email reports. So you'll see here that we've got 2 different financial reports, so you can pick a balance sheet and an income statement report from your financial reports right in Business Central. You toggle a few things here, like where you want the report to come in your financial reports and what column code to use. That's going to work the same on both the income statement and the balance sheet. And then we've got some different account numbers here. What these are going to do is actually going to surface in the report that you'll see in your email. So if I come down here to the email body, you'll see that 1 is going to be the total cash accounts, 2 receivables, 3 inventory, 4 total assets, and so on. So just take a look at these, and if you want any of that to show up in the actual email body, which I'll show you here in a second, you'll just apply what accounts you'd like here. You can either use a totaling account, which I've demonstrated here on the left, or you can use a range of accounts if you don't have totaling accounts set up in Business Central. So again, depending on what you want to see in that email body, we'll toggle those here. And then you'll just want to define what email address that report's going to go to. So in this case, I've got both reports going to myself. Then you've got email subject, balance sheet, income statement with some wildcards here for company names and dates and things like that. And then, like I explained, we've got that email body memo. So again, we'll look at the income statement. In this case, I've got revenue, cost of goods, gross profit, expenses, and net income there. So again, just a few things that you can toggle. What we'll then do is actually set up a job queue. I've got some separate information on how to actually set those job queues up, so I won't go through that in this video. But once you do toggle or go over to your job queues, there should be some different ones here. We'll sort from largest to smallest because usually ours will appear at the top here. So you can see a bunch of different job queues that are set up for you in order to use. The ones that you'll want to use for the auto email should say auto email on them. You can see a few here. We've got the income statement, we've got APAR, which we'll talk about in a second. We've got balance sheet up here. So just need to come up. Those are on hold. Just set them to ready on what cadence you'd like them to run. Then that income statement and balance sheet will actually show up in your inbox on a daily basis. So I've actually got a few. I'll pull over here for a second. So all of these ran earlier today for me. I've got this all set up for myself, and you can see here that my balance sheet was sent to me, and I've got all those quick figures here that I can see. Additionally, let's check out income statement over here. So again, it attached my income statement directly in Excel format, and then it gives me that kind of quick glimpse just for some revenue, cost of goods, expense type situations here, data points, and that's all going to be directly in your inbox every morning or every afternoon or every evening, whatever you define on that job queue. So that's the auto email for the financial reports. I'm going to hide that real quick so we can get some more real estate on the screen. The next is going to be the auto email for a few other functions we have. So we also have 5 other email functions. We've got AR and AP, which, as you can imagine, that's going to take your AR aging and your AP aging. It's going to deliver that directly to your inbox every day as well, similar to those financial reports. You can set up the email body here. So again, this is going to show you from an AR standpoint what amount lies in each bucket. So that can be really useful. Just start your day seeing what kind of falls in each bucket, see where you're at, and then start to work off of that. Again, I'll pull my email over here for a second. And if I come, I've got AR aging here on the top. If I come, it's going to show me, okay, what do I have in each bucket? Nothing, 31 pass. That's great. And then I can also open up this Excel report and it's going to be our own custom format of this report, so you don't have to build anything, and it's just going to give you a quick glimpse, kind of like on our financial dashboard. It's actually almost all the same fields, just balance due, all the different buckets, last payment date, average pay days, and then it's just got all your customers there. So some really cool things. The AP is going to look almost identical. Again, we can open that one if you'd like to see it, but I think you're starting to get the idea. They're all going to look pretty similar, all going to have an email body, all going to have an Excel attachment there for you to review as well. So that's AR and AP. We've also got inventory, a job whip, and a sales summary. So again, inventory valuation is just going to give you some statistics and some information based on what you have in inventory at the point in time that report's being ran. Again, it's going to deliver right to your inbox. Same with Job Whip. On a daily basis, you could have this delivered to your inbox to show you what's in progress, kind of what your values are throughout different jobs that are in progress, and just overall get a basic whip report. And then sales summary, this is going to show you all of your sales statistics. It's going to be, again, downloaded directly into your inbox, and you can set some different toggles here. So you can see today's sales, this week's, this month's, this year's, last year's, increase or decrease year over year. And then it's just going to give another Excel report here that if I double click, I can download. Don't have anything for today in my demo, but it would show you all the different documents, customer numbers, different things that you had for that day. Again, so that's going to be the sales summary. So maybe you want to run that one at the end of the day versus the beginning of the day, just so that there's data in there. All right, so that's the auto emails. The one thing I will mention is that if you're using our invoice and statement delivery tool as well, which I'll link here, that function also exists in invoice and statement delivery for the AR. So it's going to be the exact same function. We have it in both tools just since it also very heavily relies and is applicable in kind of everything AR, which is our invoice and statement delivery tools kind of flagship features. So that's it for the auto emailing functions here. The next thing I'm going to jump over to, which actually isn't a setup here, but it's a setup on the vendor. So I'm going to jump over to my vendor card real quick. This is going to be, let's go into one of our vendors. We've got three fields here. So I know there's some out-of-box functionality to do some defaulting for both vendors and customers for the lines on their documents. However, we've added this here just for an easy option. If you just have one line that's going to default every single time the vendor's being used, you can do so here. So in this case, I've said that every time I open a transaction for this vendor, I want to default in the type of GL account. I want the default GL account to be 60110, and I want the default option to be the last amount that was used. So here, if I go and create a purchase invoice or purchase order, the next time I pull it in, it's going to pull in, again, automatically GL account 60110 with the last amount that was used. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to go into purchase invoice, and we'll create this invoice so that we can also use it later in another feature that I want to demo. So let's go to business. Let's go here. I'm going to come in and go February internet expense 4. I did a few others for some other folks today. So let's take a look. Okay, so we've got internet expense that automatically defaulted in at a value of 175. So maybe we change that to 200. And I'm going to go ahead and post this really quick. All right, so let's go back in. We changed it from 175 to 200, remember. And if I come in here now, it's defaulting 60110. It's defaulting GL account, of course, and then it's updating that last value that we used. So, maybe your bill increased. Now it's going to be 200. So that vendor line default directly in the vendor card that we've customized there, that's going to be the functionality. So, if you're a rent vendor or an internet vendor or something like that, that's recurring and happening the same, almost every month, but you want to create a document for it, that's a great candidate here to use for that feature and that function. All right, so now let's jump back to our setup here. We're gonna come back, let's click yes. All right, let's go back to the AAC setup. And now we've gone over both the auto email reports and the vendor line defaults. So the next thing we're going to go into is our banking setup, which will be followed by the dimensional trial balance. So we'll finish running through the setup here, and then we'll go into some more testing. So I'm going to hide this again because we've already gone over this. Next thing is going to be this banking field toggles you see down here. So I'm going to turn this on to activate post send. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to, with the vendor payment remittances, automatically send those on post. So today, I know there's functionality to do, the payment remittances and then generating the EFT file and all that fun stuff. Then you got to send it off to your vendor and you got to upload the file to the bank, right? So what this is going to help optimize is sending of those payment remittances out to your vendors. I've got this test email here just because we're going to be testing today. So obviously I want those emails going to myself. And then I've got the CC address. If you're using this in practice, you could make sure that payment remittance is going out to the vendor and that someone at your organization is getting CC'd. Additionally, whatever report you want to use for that payment remittance, you can just put here. And then like our invoice and statement delivery tool, you can define who that is being sent from. Either the default, you can use email scenarios, creator, assigned, or custom. Again, if you use assign, you want to have this assignee populated here. And then finally, just what the email subject's going to be and what the email body memo is going to show. So I'm just going to say, please find payment remittance for whatever the vendor name is. Then in the email body, just did some pretty basic stuff here. Please find your remittance attached from us for you, basically, is what these wildcards are saying. So we'll jump into the ACH export as well as the ACH dashboard here in a second. But before we do so, just going to run through the rest of these toggles. We've got a currency toggle, just basically gives more visibility into the local currency in both purchase and sales documents that are going to be posted. And then this trial balance, we'll get into the report here in a second. But basically what this is going to allow you to do is break out your trial balance by all dimensions. We'll get into what that actual report looks like, but here you're just going to toggle what filter you want for those numbers, for the revenue numbers in this case I have here, and then what dimensions you want to break out in that dimensional analysis. So I've got 1, 2, 4, and 5. Last thing here, we've got just a delete on sync option. This is going to be for our chart of account sync, which we'll get into as well. The chart of account sync is going to allow us to sync GL accounts across systems. I'll actually do that one right now. So if I look here, we've got the sync setup. I'm going to say that I want my chart of accounts synced up between Kronos and ERP Connect Consulting Demo, basically on create, on edit, on delete, if applicable. It's just going to sync things across systems. So let's go in here. I'm going to come into my chart of accounts, for example, and I'm going to create a new account just to confirm in Kronos. We do not have, let's do 101.11. All right, so I'm going to come in here and go 101.11, test account for demo. That'll be a balance sheet account, and we'll just go there so that it saves test account for demo. I'm going to refresh this. And 101.11, test account for demo. So again, those are just being saved and synced across. I can go here and go X2 for version 2. And if I go back and refresh, now we've done a create, and then this essentially is just going to do an update. So again, we can see that description being updated. So just want to show that quick feature. It's just a chart of account sync, and just want to show that because we just went through that setup. So now let's get back to the banking pieces. So for the banking, I talked about both the ACH export as well as the ACH dashboard. So let's jump into that. We created a few test documents for that vendor. So we'll use that vendor in a payment journal. Let's just go to a payment journal. All right, so I've got one already set up here. Let's see if I can just create a brand new one. All right, perfect. So we see some of the features. I'll go over those in depth here, but just trying to start fresh. So let's go ahead and create one here. I'm not going to go through and explain everything here. I've got a video that I can link here in the YouTube video above of how to do this end to end, but for now I'm just going to run through it very quickly. Let's go bank account. All right, let's pick a document we want to apply to. I'll apply it here. And then we'll do electronic payment just so we can make sure that that goes out. And you're still going to do all the normal out-of-box functions and features that you do here for paying these vendors. The only thing is you don't actually have to save these files or do any of the out-of-box printing. We will get this here, so I'll take this and just put it in my downloads here for a second. All right, that should be fine. Let's get out of here. And I'm going to still need to generate the EFT file. All right, so this is all going to work the same. And really, it's the last feature that we're going to be focusing on here. So let's get out of this. And now everything should be good to go. We've got all that payment information applied and it's ready to go out. So I'm just going to hit post. You'll see a new option here, this post and send. Journal lines have been posted, and it's going to ask, do you want to send payment remittance advice to the vendors? I'm going to click yes. And what this is going to do, if I wait here a second, it's going to send a payment remittance out to the vendor. Remember, we had that test email set up, so it actually should just send the payment remittance to me. If you remember, about a minute ago, I just ran through click, click, click to get the other transaction out. So I've actually got two here. So I've got this, please find payment remittance for Business Central Consultant 1 and 2. So again, just using the information that I had in the setup, putting my signature in, all that good stuff. And it's also including the payment receipt here, 5707, 5705. Those were just the document numbers in the system. So you can see that it's actually automatically sending my remittances out to my vendors. Now, another cool feature here is that we have a dashboard as well. So let's go to the remittance dashboard. And if I pop in here, you'll see the 3 remittances that I just sent. So you see I did this one before our call here. The 500 was the first one that I just ran through very quickly. And then this 21,000 is the one that I just did that we saw in my email inbox. So again, if I wanted to take this, one of the cool features here is that I can resend remittances very easily to my vendors. So if a vendor calls up and says, hey, I never received that document, you can easily just come in here and go ahead and resend it. You'll see another one. That was the first and second we just looked at. And the third, again, it's just going to do exactly what we did before automatically, just now sending directly from that dashboard. So a lot of good functionality here, a lot of time-saving functionality when dealing with your vendors. So that's all going to be ACH focused. We also have a few additional enhanced check printing features. So I'm going to go to my bank account card real quick to show you the setup here. And if I come into one of my bank accounts, some of the additional features we have on the bank accounts for check printing is the ability to add a bank logo to the check. Some banks require that you do put their logo on their checks. So for anyone using blank check stock, this can definitely come in handy. And we also have some signature functionality. So the signature functionality, you can put a copy of your signature directly on the bank account card, and then you can put a threshold. So in this case, we're putting a $2,000 threshold. What this is going to do is if the check is below $2,000, it's automatically going to put my signature on that check. So we don't need to do anything else for it. However, if it's over $2,000, it's going to print the blank check stock with all that fun stuff, and it's going to leave the signature line blank, and it's going to require that I physically put my signature on that. So again, depending on your thresholds, you can put a user-defined threshold directly in this on the bank account card, and it will work with the checks that are printed directly from this bank account card. So I won't jump into the actual check piece of it. Again, I've got a video that I can link here on how to print checks. Again, you would just put your check report ID. We've got a few out-of-box reports that we can also link. All of those will be for banks that we've worked with before, and also have the MICR lines set up for those banks. So if you have any other banks that we don't have on our list, we'd be happy to work with you to both add those to our library and get those working for you currently, because we know that a lot of people are printing checks to blank check stock and do need that maker functionality, which isn't easy, is not intuitive with the Business Central setup as it currently is. So that's a little bit about our banking functionality. We went through both the ACH Export and dashboard as well as the bank card for the different check abilities here that we have. So one of the last things that I want to go through, which we touched on in the setup, is the dimensional trial balance. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the setup real quick just as a refresher. If I go to the setup, you'll see that trial balance. This is going to say what accounts do you want to use and what dimensions do you want to include. So I'm going to include 1, 2, 4, and 5. 3 for me is basically almost a duplicate of 1. It's a little bit different, but for the demo purposes, we'll go ahead and just stick to those. So I'm going to come in here and go to my trial balance, dimensional trial balance, AAC. Again, that's going to be the advanced accounting version. And what you're going to see here when it loads in a second is a dimensional matrix of both GL account and then the dimensions across the top here. So again, my dimensions 1, 2, 4, and 5 are customer, employee, vendor, and product. So that's what I'm going to want to break these out by today. Again, we'll click on, let's just start with consulting revenue, for example. All right. So we'll come down here. We'll pick one of our customer codes. And you can see here now I can break things out, and you can continue to break out further and further. I've got a 3-month start and end date here. If you want to switch that, you can come up to the settings and you can define whatever date range you want. We've got a list here, but if you don't like anything in our list, you can always create a custom date range for yourself. Then what this is doing basically is going layer by layer, dimension by dimension, and starting with your GL account. So now I can see consulting revenue by resource, and I can drill further into the employee as well as the product. Let me refresh that real quick. All right, let me come back down here to 900. All right, there we go. Again, so consulting revenue, maybe I want to look at it for myself. I can see the beginning balance as of 11/26, the debits, the credits, the net change, and the ending balance. Again, I could drill into any of that if I wanted to. And again, you can just continue to collapse. If I click this, it's going to take a second because it's trying to expand everything, but that would expand everything out to its most granular level. All right, there we go. So now I can see every GL account by all of those dimensions that we just talked about. If you come in here for the first time and you're not seeing any of this, you'll need to do 2 things. The first will be to build the dimensional matrix. And then after you've built the dimensional matrix, you just need to load the records. There's not really anything to do on your end other than click the buttons. Of course, the more dimensions and the more data you have, it could take a few minutes the first time you do this. But once you do, then it will give you a great breakdown view of all of the dimensions you've selected in this list. So I think that's it at this point for the advanced accounting extension that we've got here. We've gone through the auto emails, the vendor line defaults, the banking, the dimensional trial balance, the chart of accounts sync, and touched on that additional document currency. So we hope that you liked the extension. Please feel free to download it off of AppSource free for 30 days. If you do have any additional questions, both about existing features or have recommendations for future features, we would love if you either dropped us a comment or reach out directly to us. Some of our best features do come from the feedback that you folks all give, and we always do appreciate those. So look forward to hearing from everyone, and we hope you enjoyed the video today. Thanks.